Hello everyone. This is the second recorded lecture for game theoretic models for platform operations as kind of special lecture. So today we are going to look at how actually AI may change the platform competition landscape. Okay, so let me actually first share the lecture note with you. So when it comes to platform businesses, as I have lectures in the first recorded special lecture, there are certain kind of rules that apply to platform business competition, such as um, the chicken and egg problem. So basically, to overcome this chicken and egg problem, we have to do something uh, in terms of platform survival strategies. For instance, we may try to secure one base of users so that we can actually start from it to build a platform business by attracting the other side who actually want to connect, have some connections with the previously secured base. As examples, we have looked at the Amazon and Coupons and many actually online marketplaces. They have started as an online retailer, and once they secure the user base, they became the marketplace. And also, the concept of single homing and multi-homing is very important in determining the fate of any new platform businesses. So if you try to figure out, oh, the chance of being getting survived in the platform competition, as a latecomer or the newcomer, you have to look at how actual users behave in terms of the adoption of the platforms, whether they select only one platform or actually multiple platforms. If they select multiple platforms, it is called as multi-homing. So when people do multi-homing, there is a higher chance of the platform getting survived. Let's look at how these things may change or may not change in the age of AI. Before I actually look into the detail regarding the impact of AI on platform business, let's first think about this. If you understand AI and the platform business really well, then you can actually seize new growth opportunities. Any businesses can have ups and then downs. Sometimes it's successful, sometimes it's down. But once you become successful in terms of platforms, then you can tend to kind of have somehow sustainable businesses in terms of based on diversified revenues such as advertising and then user fees. Upon this, if you understand how AI will change the platform businesses in terms of survival and competition, I'm pretty sure that you can actually have new opportunities. And then let's look at uh, first, what kind of contents will be mentioned, will be actually talked about here. So let me actually first start with the introduction to platforms. Although, I have already explained a lot of things before, but let me actually kind of give you some reminder. And then I'll briefly explain how actually AI transform the platform businesses. I mean, through several examples. Actually, not briefly. I will actually talk a lot about this AI transformation of the platform businesses. And then we'll talk about the platform evolution matrix that I kind of create to help actually companies to have some sense of what kind of growth opportunities they may have. And then lastly, I'm going to give you some 5 tips for entering platform businesses, especially in the AI area. Sorry, era. Okay, so let me briefly, skip this part. So I have basically have a lot of experiences in platform competition and growth strategy in terms of research and the lecture. And then I have been thinking about, oh, how actually AI will change the platform businesses. and for a few years, and then this is kind of conclusion that I have made so far. Okay, so I guess we have been using platforms almost every day, right? So unless somebody actually has taken your smartphone away, you tend to use your mobile phone and the social media every day, and then you can use the ride-hailing services. And even every day, probably you are going to use the PC. And as you might know, the Windows or the Mac OS, basically, they are the platforms. And we shop these days online a lot, and then many online marketplaces available these days as a kind of the first or the major shopping choice. When you actually look at the global market capitalization, a lot of actually pretty big portion of companies come from the platforms. Globally, as of 2024, according to data, about half of the companies, actually platform companies, for the Korean market, out of 10, top 10 companies, two platform companies are in actually part of top 10. Sometimes outside top 10 because this the market capitalization changes all the time. But usually we have two or three companies within top 20 companies at least. In terms of the intermediary and the product platform, we need to distinguish between these two different types of platforms. I'm going to talk mainly about intermediary platforms that connect to size. But sometimes some intermediate platforms can also work as product platforms. Of course, there are some platforms which only work as a product platform, such as computing infrastructure or large language models, in the sense that they provide technological foundation for the future innovation that can be done by third parties. If you think about, let's say, the Windows, Mac OS as a computer operating systems, they kind of work as intermediate platforms as well as product platforms. Why? Because on top of operating systems, many applications can be run. So in that sense, it's kind of product platform. On the other hand, it connects to different sides, users and application developers. So it has the characteristics of both intermediary and product platforms. But in this lecture, we are going to focus mainly on intermediary platforms. So when you think about the AIs, we can have many different examples here. Voice assistants like a Siri and Google Assistant, autonomous driving. Sometimes a medical analytics diagnosis can be done by using AI. And we have been influenced a lot by recommendation systems adopted by, for instance, Netflix and YouTube. As you watch a lot of videos on Netflix or YouTube's, you tend to be provided some videos, some dramas, some movies that actually captures your attention, right? So based on the recommendation systems. And then let's first think about what kind of technologies are available as AI, and then let's try to connect these technologies with platform businesses. When you think of artificial intelligence, basically, you can imagine any machines that may perform like a human being in terms of reasoning, in terms of learning, in terms of decision making. The concept of artificial intelligence was developed around, I think, 1950s, about 75 years ago. And the machine learning that has been in the market already since, 1980s. So basically, machine learning means that algorithms that learn from data. So it can be used to detect any frauds, let's say in credit card transactions, And also it can predict how many actual users may leave certain services. And I mean, most of us, I mean, sometimes we can find some email in the spam folder. So basically, spam filtering is also another example of machine learning. Deep learning is actually a kind of machine learning. It's based on the neural networks. So it has pretty good potential in terms of in the area of self-driving, medical imaging, and speech and language understanding. So it can handle pretty complicated and complex situations than other machine learning methodologies. But you know what? The deep learning, it has been developed seriously. I mean, around from since 2010 and then 2012, after the Jeffrey Hinton's the team has won in the competition for the image recognition. I mean, I guess people, including engineers and the investors, they have been interested very much in how we can actually use the deep learning to make some money. And as a kind of a one representative example of it is generative AI. So basically, I mean, generative means that it can generate some content based on the learning. So these days, I mean, many people have been using generative AI since it was introduced, I think, in 2022, November, right? And then, I mean, even though it has been in the market only 3 years, but the user base is amazing, right? And the fact is, many platforms have been already using AI services. So as I mentioned, recommendation systems have been adopted very highly by social media, entertainment, and then e-commerce, even the education. And then search engines and operating system providers like Google, Microsoft, they have been providing the generative AI services. So when it comes to the impact of AI on platform business, we may distinguish between somehow two different types of AI services, machine learning, deep learning, and the generative AI, because the uses of it, maybe the impact of these technologies on platform business competition can be somehow different. And let's see how they are different. So the first question that we try to answer here is, can actually AI change platform survival rules? So platform survival rules basically refer to the chicken and egg problem. If we don't have users, you cannot have suppliers in the diagram. If we don't have suppliers, we cannot have the users. This is basically the chicken and egg problem. To overcome this chicken and egg problem, we may start, I mean, as a platform business owner, we can start as a single-sided service provider first. And then once we secure enough users, we can actually attract the suppliers. Or we can become directly an online marketplace or any platform businesses if we can provide really, really new and innovative services, such as eBay's, online travel agencies. eBay, they have started as offering the opportunities for the users who would like to buy interesting and strange, but it can be very highly valuable used items. Before the era of eBay, people are somehow restricted in terms of time and the reason, in terms of searching for the used items that actually attract their attention. But after the introduction of eBay, now the users at the time in the US, they don't have any limitation in terms of time, in terms of reasons. So whenever they want, wherever they want, they can actually find some item they want to buy or to sell. And what's more is actually the price was determined according to the auction. So if there are a lot of buyers who want to buy a certain item, then actually the price of that item will go up. So the sellers would be happy. And also from the buyer's point of view, if nobody's interested in buying some stuff, some used good, then actually you can get it at a reasonably pretty good price. So the answer to the first question is that no, it doesn't change platform survival rules, even with the AI. So in terms of the applications of AI to actually help companies, I mean, who help platforms survived is, I think, I mean, we can think of real estate applications. Real estate apps is kind of platform in the sense that it kind of connects the users and let's say homeowners. These days, I mean, in Korea, in the US, many people are using real estate apps to find the good home if you are a buyer and if you want to sell some house, then I mean, you want to sell it somehow fast and with a good price, you can use also the real estate apps. And also, I mean, real estate apps sometimes, I mean, they don't charge you that much money compared with the traditional real estate agents. So suppose that you have developed a new real estate app that can give you very good, reasonable price based on the AI models. Are you willing to use it? Probably yes. What is very interesting in this market is that there are actually many apps. I mean, the multiple apps that are used in the market, and even the users of the first, I mean, the market share app, they tend to use other apps. Basically, I mean, people tend to do multi-home in this market. So there is a pretty good chance of being survived. And on top of that, if you can provide new services based on AI models, such as price prediction models, then you can attract the previous users of the already established apps to your apps so that you can actually increase your chance of getting survived. So in this sense, AI actually can help platforms, especially the new platforms, to overcome the chicken and egg problem. Not only this kind of price prediction models, you can use the generative AI for property search. So instead of users, I mean, logging into the app and then spending a lot of time trying to find the listings they really want to buy or sell, now, I mean, generative AI can give you the list of the houses that actually are within your budget and attract your attention that are very attractive to your situation within just a few clicks. If this is possible, then probably the traditional real estate app users, they also want to use this new app. So again, AI can help new platform businesses to survive and overcome the chicken and egg problem. However, still, they have to overcome the chicken and egg problem. And before we go into the next thing, let's actually look at the concept of single homing and multi-homing here. The single homing means that people tend to use only one platform. Multi-homing means that multiple platforms. So when it comes to the platform competition result, under single homing, usually only one platform will dominate. Under multi-homing, multiple platforms will coexist. This has been kind of proven historically. So for instance, desktop OS is kind of has been dominated by the Windows for a long time. However, the gaming console market is has been shared by three players, Sony, Microsoft, and the Nintendo. Why? There can be several reasons, but the fact that users do multi-homing in the game console market is the main key factor. When it comes to the desktop OS, usually people do single home. Of course, these days, there are some people who uses Mac at the same time Windows by using some tools. However, mostly I think people tend to use only one OS. Why? Because we don't have to know the two OSs or to use two OSs because usually many essential softwares are available for both OS. And also, sometimes it'll take a long time to get used to the new OS. However, when it comes to the game console market, people may do multi-home because the first reason, some titles are available only for certain game console. Microsoft Xbox has a few titles, very popular titles that are only available for the Xbox, exclusive titles. PlayStation, the same thing. Nintendo, the same thing. So if you want to enjoy a lot of different games, then you tend to buy Xbox, PlayStation, and even Nintendo's Switch. So this actually behavior of users is pretty important in determining the fate of newcomer. So in that perspective, generative AI may reshape the competition. Why? Let's first think about the generative AI uses for some general people, like a ChatGPT and the Gemini. So people used to use the Googles or the neighbor in Korea to find some information on the internet. But these days, a lot actually people start to use generative AI first, and then they may try to use the Google or the neighbor as the second kind of step. Then what happens? This generative AI will will occupy the position that actually have an interaction with the users. So previously, search engines they kind of connect to the users and online content providers. But with the adoption of generative AI, such as ChatGPT and the Gemini, now people are they using the generative AI first, and then generative AI, they may use the Google or the other search engines, some neighbor, as as part of their the answering the question process. So now, the search engines may have an indirect relationship with the users. So, in terms of the impact of generative AI adoption on the platform businesses, basically, there is a pretty good chance for the new platforms in the sense that previously, because of the cross-group network effects that the current and established platforms have, it's very hard to actually penetrate into that market. But now, generative AI, and there's also a concept of AI agent based on generative AI. They make this kind of cross-network effect somehow weak in the sense that now the direct contact with the customers becomes somehow weak so that the cross-group network effect may not uh, put a lot of power on the existing platform. So as I mentioned, as examples, search engines, they used to connect users and online content providers, but now generative AI actually connects the users and search engines or even online content providers. And as a result, the cross-group network effect between users and online content providers will become weak. And advertising revenue based on this will be smaller and smaller for the search engines. But not only the search engines, many different types of platforms will face the similar situation. Previously, without the use of AI agent based on generative AI, as an online travel platform, as a major one, you can enjoy the pretty strong cross-group network effect between the users and the suppliers. So you can have a lot of revenues from many transactions over your platform. And also sometimes you can enjoy the revenue from advertising. Because as users, once you are used to using a specific platform for your online travel, uh, then you tend to stick with this one. You may do some multi-home, but which will actually take a lot of your time. So if you're busy, let's say you're a businessman, and you have enough money to spend, and then you can just go to one major platform to purchase tickets for your travels. That's it. But if AI agent is getting popular, then AI agent will work as a kind of intermediary between users and the platforms and even suppliers. Suppose that you want to find the good uh, the uh, the airfares and then good deals on the hotels and the other stuffs related to your trips. Previously, you have to go to this platform to buy some tickets. To reserve some hotel reservations, and then that's it. Or if you have a lot of time, if you do kind of multi-home, then by spending a lot of time and the efforts, you may try some different platforms. But as I mentioned, you are busy, you cannot do. But now with the AI agent, you can just, describe what you want in detail. And then AI agent will actually search instead of you any good platforms and the suppliers, and then give you the deal that satisfy your conditions, your budgets, your preferences for the hotels, and then the airlines, etc. So now the users, they automatically tend to do some multi-home when it comes to the platform. So this is kind of very good news for small and the new platforms, right? There can be some very good opportunities for them. However, AI may not be always on newcomers' side. If we look at the big tech four AI investment plans, Amazon, Microsoft, Alphabet, and Meta, their investment is huge. It's like $100 billion or $80 billion. So if you add all of these, it'll be easily greater than $300 billion. A lot of money. So what this actually give us as an implication is that if you are an existing and the leading platform, you tend to have a lot of money to spend for the AI so that you can actually uh, provide good AI services to actually keep your users with on your site for a longer period of time. So, in that sense, I mean, AI is kind of on the side for the already existing platform because they have a lot of money. So when it comes to, then let me actually think about some different questions. So which actual industry needs actually these AI adoptions? I think personally, education and the finance platforms must be the ones because these two areas need personalized learning, personalized banking and the financing, but not has been there still. So there's some room, there's a lot of room for the opportunities. Of course, I mean, many companies have been trying to do this, but I think with the AI, the advancement in AI technologies, there will be more and more opportunities here. So, as a kind of key insights, AI doesn't change the survival laws, but induce multi-homing by delivering new value. This is good for the newcomers. And also AI agent, including generative AI, will redefine competitive structure so that new platforms can have higher chance of being used and survived. However, the already existing incumbent as a platform, they may adopted AI and then they try to secure their position in a more strong way. So for instance, I mean, we tend to use the YouTube. Why YouTube? Because I mean, there are a lot of contents there. Also, they use they give you the contents that you tend to like based on recommendation systems. And then they are going to get a lot of your time so that you don't have other time to spend for new, let's say, the platforms that actually share some contents. And then, given these changes, if you are not a platform, then obviously try to optimize your site for discovery by generative AI. If you are already a platform, again, you can build generative AI friendly outlets, or you can kind of monitor, I mean, what actual rivals are doing in terms of AI adoption. And then also you can watch out, okay, what is going on in terms of AI agent? Because I mean, this area has been changing rapidly. If you are a really, really strong platform, very big platform, not small and medium-sized platform, then you can, I think you have basically two choices. The first is becoming very friendly to generative AI or the AI agent, or you can be pretty hostile to generative AI or AI agent so that users have some reason to visit your platform. Oh, maybe there's another option. The last option is that actually you build your own AI agent. So that maybe in a somehow secret way, you can induce still users to use your services. In terms of expansion and growth, we have, I mean, people have been talking a lot about, let's say, the horizontal expansion and then vertical expansion, diversification, and market expansion. Horizontal expansion basically is the case when you actually expand your offerings. For instance, the Amazon, they started as a online bookseller, But as they have obtained a lot of users, they kind of expanded their offerings, including electronics, the fashion items, and a lot of different items too. So it's called a horizontal expansion. The vertical expansion, I mean, also another example is Amazon. So Amazon is a very interesting company in the sense that it has been doing both um, horizontal expansion at the same time, vertical expansion. So vertical expansion is the case when we try to expand our territories into the service that have been provided by the other parties in the value chain. So let's say the Amazon. Amazon has been the online bookseller and the retailer. They can just keep doing it, but they actually have invested a lot of money in building logistics infrastructure, like building warehouses. And then by doing that, they actually encroached into the services that have been provided by the logistic providers. By having that vertical expansion, they can actually provide very efficient services for the deliveries, very fast deliveries. If they have relied on third-party services as a logistics provider, probably they wouldn't have done it. But with the use of their own logistics infrastructure, it has been possible. Platform transition is another way of expansion. So, in I mean, in terms of the user base, we can think of existing and the new user base. Based on the existing user base, we can attract somehow different types of users. That's what happened to Amazon Coupang as an online retailer transition to marketplaces. And then American Express's evolution into credit card platform, and then Inbound's evolution into online marketplace for healthy food is another example too. Let's look at the Amazon's vertical expansion and the platform transition. So as I've explained, it has invested a lot of money in logistics. So it has done a lot of vertical expansion into logistics. But when it comes to, um, their online retailing, they started as an online bookseller in 1995, and then they evolved to third party, I mean, the marketplaces, which means that it provides the marketplace services for the other small and medium-sized merchants so that they can actually sell their products through the Amazon. Then you can think, as an online retailer, it has been very successful. Then they can just keep doing that. But instead, they actually become a platform by actually attracting their kind of competitors. The third party sellers. So the online users is kind of their first customer group. And then based on this, after they have acquired a lot of customers, based on this group, very large group, they can attract third-party sellers, basically other individual or small, medium-sized merchants who also want to sell their products to the customers of Amazon. Then why they have been doing this? First, Amazon's business is basically selling the products through the online. And they know that there are other actually competitors who also want to do the same thing as they do. So why not inviting them to our site? You may think that, oh, it can actually result in more fierce competition in terms of prices, but that won't happen. Why? Because if you're going to sell it as third parties, you have to pay some fee. then upon those fees, to be financially successful, you cannot keep like a very aggressive price for a long time. It means that because of those fees, you tend to charge a little bit higher price than maybe your own online retail site. And also from the Amazon point of view, it's a very good in the sense that if you think that let's say I'm the Amazon's operating manager, and then if you think that that particular item has a very low margin, then you don't have to try to sell it. You can just, let actually others sell that product, and then you can just get the fees, transaction fees as your revenue. Maybe transaction fees can be higher than your margin. American Express, there's also a very interesting story. First, American Express, they have been using the machine learning to actually detect any fraud, the deep learning models too. But what is interesting about the American Express is that they started as an express service provider. Basically, deliver the parcels quickly in 1850s. And then after about 100 years later, they have become the credit card service provider, basically the platform service provider. It has taken like over 100 years. If you look at the history of American Express, they also kind of used the platform evolution strategy pretty much well. For instance, before they went into the credit card business, they have already a lot of customers. Such as the wealthy people and the general people who are interested in the travel. Because they have provided the travel services for a long time before that. And also, and as a result, they know a lot of hotels and the restaurants and etc. So they were thinking about going into the credit card platform businesses. But what has been, historically interesting is that at that time, the travel, the hotel industry also has already issued some credit card that can be used in the hotels. But they were thinking about, selling these businesses to the American Express. And then American Express, they just, captures that opportunity. And then they can easily overcome the chicken egg problem. You may think that, this is just their luck, but actually, it has been based on their previous business, such as the travel agency. So they know a lot of the wealthy people and the users, the general people who actually would like to travel a lot, and also the hotel industry. And also, they know a lot of banks already through the money order services and the travel check businesses. When it comes to embodies, embody is basically they provide uh, the good, accurate measure of your body situation, your body composition measurement. And then they basically the manufacturer of that device. You can just think of it as a manufacturer. And then you may think that, oh, this their business is has nothing to do with the platform. However, what they have done, although they are targeting somehow higher vision, such as comprehensive healthcare data platform, but I think they are still trying to achieve that stage. But what they have done is, they have started selling the somehow simpler machine for individuals. Okay. And then the people, I mean, who actually have both the in-body, I mean, for the individuals, somehow, I mean, maybe the price range is about like $150. And then they provide some app that record the users, I mean, composition. So if you use the in-body machine every day, you can actually keep track of what's going on in your body, how much the fat do you have, how much muscles you have, so that you can kind of keep track of what's going on, what have you are doing to your body. So it's a very important, I mean, thing for any people who are interested in keeping their body somehow healthy. If this is the end of story, then it's not a problem. It's just a one-side service provider. But they actually, after they acquire a lot of users, personal users, and then they started to provide online marketplaces for healthy foods. So basically, I mean, they attract healthy food providers to their app. Then the question is, why these health, I mean, product providers, they want to join this app? Initial response can be, oh, because I mean, there are a lot of users who use that app. Okay, why not? And also, people are very interested in their bodies. So it means that they are very good potential candidates for consuming very healthy products, healthy meals. So why not? But if you actually make actual transaction happen, you have to do some kind of a trick. So what they have done is that they provide some promotions for their users. Okay, if you just invest about like let's say $30 and then for the body challenge program, where actually I mean users keep their diets and then if they record what they are eating by taking some pictures and then after the challenge trial, usually 4 weeks, they are going to be rewarded uh, some money back in terms of the points. So let's say, I mean, I mean, first, I mean, I pay $30, but in 4 weeks, if I did what they ask to do, like keeping your diet and then the posting what you have been eating, and then we are going to be rewarded $30 back. But it's we're given in the points that can be used for purchasing healthy foods so that they kind of encourage, I mean, they designed the app to actually make some transactions between their users and health food providers through the Challenger program. So, like this, I mean, many traditional companies they can actually become the platforms based on their current users or their current technology. So what's very important is, I mean, you have to think about what kind of resources you have in terms of the customers, in terms of suppliers, in some technologies. And then you have to keep thinking about, oh, is there any way of attracting somehow different types of users by thinking about, oh, what kind of other services our users actually want? When it comes to in-body example, again, their users, I mean, they are very healthy conscious. So they want to purchase very healthy products, right? That's their kind of um, the need. So to satisfy the need, they try to have some connections between their users and healthy food providers. Okay, let me actually conclude this lecture by giving you some tips for entering platform businesses, somehow briefly. First tip is that your core metrics will change. Upon the traditional measures, you have to think about how actually users are interacting with each other. Monthly active users. What is the match success rate? Is there any tendency that the customers do not use your service anymore? You have to think about that. Tip two is competitors. The concept of it can expand. Why? Because for the platform business, we have two different sides. So maybe for the one side, we may provide some different services, but but they can become the competitors for the other side, such as the online advertising market. Google or the Alphabet has been number one player for obtaining the online advertising revenue. The second player is the Meta, which provides the social media services. So they provide complete different service to their users. But on the other side, for advertisers, the same thing. So uh, the main service can be different, but for the other side, they may target the same users. And regardless of AI, use of AI or not, there are always asymmetric prices in two-sided markets. It means that you provide some subsidy to one side, and you try to get a lot of money from the other side. For instance, for the credit card users are being subsidized, but merchants kind of money side, because you are going to you charge some fees, right? Online marketplace usually sellers at the money side. What's interesting is that for the home sharing service like Airbnb, which seems to be money side, the users or the homeowners? You may think that homeowners can be money side because they actually get some revenue by sharing their home with the users. However, actually, the money side is actually the users or the guests. And why? Because for Airbnb to be started first, they have to obtain a lot of hosts first. It means that they have to subsidize hosts to attract them. Then they can start attracting a lot of guests. So it actually gives them a lot of favor to hosts. And the tip four is that you have to know that profit is very hard to be obtained within a short period of time. It takes a pretty long time. In Korea, Coupang, Musinsa, and other many actually platforms, it has taken a lot of years, more than 10 years sometimes. And especially in the area of AI, in the age of AI, I think tip five is very valid. The valid kind of a tip to think about. Winner take all is not clear. Usually for the technology platform, winner take all situation, and then because people tend to do single home, but when people do multi-home, there's some higher chance of multiple platforms to coexist. But now, with the use of AI, maybe with the multi-home situation, we may have a much higher chance of multiple platform to coexist. And even for the technology platform, we don't know. Maybe we can have multiple platform coexistence situation because of the use of AI. Based on the AI, if you can provide a new service that has never existed before, then there is some chance of attracting the users who has been um, the very loyal customers of very strong platform already. Okay, so through this video, we have looked at how actually AI will change the platform business. The first one is that it doesn't change the chicken and egg problem situation. However, it will help the newcomers, I mean, to overcome the chicken and egg problem situation. And the AI agent and the generative AI, they may replace the role of the previous platform in the sense that now the users they have interaction with them, not with the search engines or the platforms. Then more new and the small medium-sized platforms may have a higher chance of being used by users so that more tendency of having multiple platforms may evolve, may be realized. However, at the same time, the existing platform, they can have power and the money so that they can adopt AI services very strongly. And then in the earlier stage, then they can actually capture the user's attention a lot, like the YouTube and then other the entertainment services platform. So maybe it's not a good idea to go into these areas unless you have a very, very innovative AI services. Okay, thank you very much for watching this platform business in the age of AI. Thank you.